Hello everybody, my name is Ratnos, and in today's video we're going to talk about what to do here during the second week of Dragonflight. The TLDR for this one is there isn't too much that's new in the second week. In fact, there's basically nothing. A set of new weekly resets is the big thing, but other than that, I think many players are going to find this to be a less hectic, less time-pressured week than the first week, because there's nothing new yet. Next week, however, is going to be extremely hectic for high-end players because Mythic Raid, Heroic Raid, Normal Raid, and Mythic Dungeons, Mythic Plus Dungeons will all open simultaneously. So, strategy number one is just if you have anything important to do IRL, any way that you can spend some time now to give yourself more time playing World of Warcraft next week, that's going to be a good trade at pretty much any exchange rate as something that you should look at. That being said, there are a couple of pieces of gear and stuff that can be earned. There's a set of weekly rewards, such as the Siege on Dragonbane Keep, the Aiding the Accord quest, the Maruk Centaur hunt, the Trial of the Elements, and the Trial of Flood, which, if you're unfamiliar with what those are, the Trial of Elements is in the Chromie Time future, Primalist future. There's a little cave up here that can have a event spawn in it once every hour or two that gives a chest that can reward reasonably good items, and it always rewards an item. They nerfed the item level on it, so it doesn't... I don't think it goes above 380 anymore, but you can get an item from there. There's also the Trial of Flood, which is a similar event that happens down in the Oniri Springs, and both of those are weekly. If you tried to do those on Tuesday, they were bugged briefly and didn't work, but they have once again been reset, so you can take those out. Beyond that, we have our super rares rotation if you're interested in those. And I have a weak aura here that I've been using that I really like that is called Vaz's Dragon Isles weak aura that lets you kind of track. And you can go into custom options even and change how it displays all these things. But it shows you which super rares, which weekly events you have still available on your character. And it even has some profession stuff, although that is incomplete right now, like the one-time knowledge sources. So getting something like that and doing that can be something you can do if you want. Again, we're looking at the items from these scaling with your item level and going up into like the 380s potentially, but remember that that's going to be obsolete very quickly starting next week. Even if you're able to do like plus 10 keys, you'll be able to find better items than these out of your end of dungeon boxes even. And so this is for a very disproportionate amount of work for items that will not last very long starting next week. But on the other hand, there's not much else you can be doing this week. The other two options for grinds you can be doing that might be a little bit more durable are the Rathian or Sibelian rep grind and the Cobalt Assembly rep grind. The Cobalt Assembly rep grind rewards a 389 ring for roughly 2 hours or an hour of grinding, something in that range. And the Rathian or Sibelian rep grind, you're looking at more like 6 to 10 hours, depending on what kind of shard you're on. And that will get you a 389 necklace and a 398 cloak. So potentially some items that will actually last medium term into the week, even for players that are able to do reasonably high keys and potentially heroic raid. There are a couple other medium sources of items I want to call out. One is that there's this rare. It's not really a rare. It's a bonus objective mob, which means it can be looted once per character. It's not one of the rares that can be looted once per day. It's this bird called like Henlair that spawns right here in the Temporal Conflux. And that can actually, it's dropped for me up to a 385 trinket. I don't know if it goes higher than that, but it scales with your item level as well. So if you have a character that hasn't killed Henlair yet, killing that thing at some point, and at some point when your item level is as high as possible, right, to benefit from the scaling as much as possible, could be an easy source of a nice upgrade, potentially. There's also a world quest that's up right now for North America. So if you're watching this video, and it is before Friday at 7 p.m. Pacific time, there's a world quest, but it's only visible if you've done the quest line first. The Fields of Ferocity quest line, which requires you to kill like 6 elite mobs in their 6 quests for doing it. Once that quest line is complete, a world quest is available in the rotation, and currently the one that is in North America right now can reward up to, I believe, the 376 here. I don't know if it can go higher than that, of this Bushwhacker's Compass from that world quest. I don't know if it has other rewards for other specs or anything like that, other classes, but that was what it had for me. So If you haven't done the Field of Ferocity, you won't see that world quest up, but you can go and do the quest line, and as soon as you finish it, the world quest will pop. Again, assuming that you're on North American servers and it's before Friday at 7 p.m. Pacific. After that point, who knows? It'll rotate out, right? And there'll be a new line of world quests. Okay, other things you can be doing this week. Obviously, Mythic Zero dungeons, doing them as early as possible to then benefit the item level scaling of the other sources is something that does make sense, but again, not something hugely to worry about. A couple people asked me if you're 372, if there's still a point of doing Mythic Zero dungeons, and the answer to that is actually yes. There is still a good drop you can find in Mythic Zero dungeons, which is this Titan Training Matrix 4 that lets you get crafted gear all the way up to potentially 382, realistically probably 379 or 376, depending on what crafter you can find this week, but you can use this to get yourself a crafted almost any slot. I would recommend the ring slot from jewel crafting because it is a guaranteed socketed ring that you can get from this. However, you can make helmets, weapons, whatever slot you're low item level on. Do not make the jewel crafting necklace or the tailoring cloak with this. Do not work order one of those unless you have that profession, because for some reason those two items require that profession for the item that is Titan Training Matrixable. They don't for the Spark of Creation ones, but they do for the Titan Training Matrix one. Also, do not work order engineering goggles with either a Titan Training Matrix or a Spark of Creation, because those will always require engineering as well. But the necklaces and the cloaks, for some reason, only the blue recipes that can be upgraded with Titan Training Matrix require their respective professions. It seems to me like a little bit of a weird thing that may change in the future, so you can potentially go and double check this if you really want one of those slots, see if it has been changed. But as of right now, that is how that is functioning. Okay. Couple other questions I've been getting that I want to answer in this video. People have been sending me armory links with people that are wearing 405 crafted gear and are like, how is this possible? The answer is, some people have gotten all the way to the end of their renown tracks and gotten one of the primal infusions. Usually they've been doing it with Maruk, just AFKing on top of hunts and getting all the hunts rep that way, and have gotten themselves a primal infusion, which lets you then get a crafted gear all the way up to 405. And yeah, there's people that have been doing that this week. It has cost them their spark to do that, though, right? So it's not like they're ahead of anybody else. Everybody else will also be able to get primal infusions from doing 11 or higher keys or heroic raid next week. So do not be in fear of that. That being said, if you happen to get a primal infusion this week, go for it. Send it. Make yourself a 405 weapon, and you'll make the first day of next week easier. That's definitely a reasonable thing to do if you don't mind spending your spark on that. I would recommend for most people, spending your sparks next week on a two-handed weapon will often be one of the best things you can do, because it's just such a big power spike if you can heroic or mythic upgrade that thing fairly early. Or you can wait and see which gear slots you don't drop from your M+ runs and then craft into those slots, especially if you're not likely to get tier from the raid. If you are going to get tier from the raid at all, do not craft into your tier slots, of course. Okay, another question people have been asking me that I want to mention is this raids tab. People have been like, why isn't the raids tab open yet? Why can't I go there? The answer to that is actually because of, it seems like a bug. Currently, the Mythic Plus Dungeons tab here is the bottom one of the Dungeons tab, and there's no corresponding raid tab for Mythic Plus Dungeons, obviously. But if you change this over to Dragonflight or any of the other ones here, then you can get back over to the raids tab. So if you want to look at Vault of the Incarnate's loot or mechanics or something like that, that is currently the process you have to do it from the Dungeon Journal. This is very annoying and hopefully something that Blizzard will fix, but at least it is that there is a way around it for now if you want to go and look at all of the loot and the bosses and stuff and how that raid is going to work. Some pretty good items in here, so should be a good time. Finally, there is a trinket that is weirdly BOE that I want to mention, and that is called the Razorwind Talisman. This trinket, for some reason, is a BOE that can be dropped all the way up to 376 and potentially higher. There's not any higher ones on the auction house right now. There's one 376 on my auction house for 250k. So I guess check to see if this is on your auction house, if it's cheap. Obviously, by the time this video has come out, you probably will not be the first person to check on your auction house, but go for it. And check your bags to make sure that you are not vendoring or disenchanting, you know, a 369 or a 3, like, one of these, even 350, right? Even 350 is something that they might be selling it, they might be moving it at this price point, and it certainly could move at, like, 10k at least, right? And that's much better than vendoring it or DEing it, right? So do check your bags for this thing, and consider you can use the auction house for it if you want to raise your item level. It is an intellect trinket, so obviously do not use that if you're not an intellect user. But yeah, I mean, you could raise your item level. I actually don't even know if this counts as raising your item level if you're not an int user. But yeah, that's another weird thing. Again, maybe it'll change. The Blizzard's been changing several of the good or best sources of gear or anything like that as they've sort of been discovered and popularized. So this video may be obsolete. Many of the things in my previous last week's set of videos were made obsolete 1 to 3 days after they came out. So, you know, that's how it's been going this expansion so far. It's the kind of thing I would be more annoyed about if the gear wasn't all going to be obsolete next week anyways, but because it is, it's kind of not a big deal. Who cares? Right. That's it for the week 2 roundup of stuff, and cover some questions. Hope there's been something interesting in here for you. Let me know what sorts of videos you'd like to see from me this week. I think it'll probably be I'm gonna try and put out a couple ones, and then I'll be busy starting very soon with the raid and such, the Race to World First and everything. So things are probably gonna slow down a little bit on the video front, but I'll try and make some. I'll try and keep the videos coming even on the channel as much as I can, but no promises. Anyways, thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed it. See you in the next one. Bye.